So chapter 5 deals with developing your career development map. I'm not sure if you know, there was actually a study done by NACE, and NACE discovered that although a career development map for professionals and students is important, only 24% of students actually engage in career development mapping. What does that mean? That means that you take the time to map out from where you are to where you desire to go. You set goals, you determine what things you have to do, you determine on what points you have to hit throughout your entire collegiate or professional career. It would be as if I was in an entry-level position and I want to be the VP one day, and I'm specifically setting goals and targets and relationships and skills and experiences that I need to develop in order to elevate to this next position. This is what would be a career development map. And this is essential for students because once I know who I am, once I have the vision, once I know the skills, the competencies, I know the relationships I need to develop, I know the knowledge I need to acquire, now I begin to map this thing out and I say, okay, for the first year, I'm gonna do this skill, I'm gonna do this internship, I'm gonna be part of this organization. In the second year, I'm gonna have this experience. Maybe I wanna go study abroad. So throughout their collegiate journey, they're identifying the specific goals to get them closer and closer towards their specific career trajectory. This is what I call the career development map. Now, this is for students, but also when an organization is effective as professionals, you should be doing the same thing. You should be asking yourself the question, okay, I'm a director today, but one day I may want to be the president of an institution. What does that look like? What do you need to do? What skills? What things do you need to do in order to elevate to that position? This is part of career development and action planning. And so many people fail to take the time to really dig in and think about where they see themselves in the future. Now, once we get from that chapter, we begin to move into chapter 6. And chapter 6 is post. This is where you're making the transition. I call it from...
Josh, you got chapter 6 and chapter 7, and we got to spin the wheel twice in 20 minutes. Just FYI.
I got you. I'm not going to go long.
Chapter 6.
So we go to chapter 6. This is from college to career. Now we're dealing with the transition. I've graduated. My family's going crazy. Woo-hoo, there's tears. It's an incredible moment, y'all. But now I'm beginning my career. But in this chapter, we begin to really dig deep and say, okay, do you have a LinkedIn profile? What's your professional brand? Job searching. Where are you looking for jobs? Are you on LinkedIn? Are you going to career fairs? Are you looking at the relationships that you've built over the 4-year span that may have job opportunities? Because pay scale says 87% of jobs are based on relationships. So now you're looking for jobs. Now you're developing your resume. You have the skills. You have the competencies, you have the experiences that you can integrate into your resume. Now you're dealing with the interview. How are you going to interview? You're preparing. You're preparing for one-on-one interviews. You're preparing for group interviews. You're preparing for when you have to go visit. So you're going through that whole process. You're preparing your answers. So this is why the skills, the competencies, all that stuff is important because you're incorporated now into the interview process. And then we get to this moment. Here we go, Tish. Negotiation. How do you negotiate your salary? I'll just throw this out to you really quickly. Do you know in the tech industry, I heard this from an HR professional, they have a scale from $0 to $50,000 to determine your salary. The HR professional, unfortunately, is trying to save the organization money. So if you don't do your homework, and you don't go in there ready to negotiate, guess what? You'll be at the lower while someone with the same job may get paid $30,000, $40,000, and $50,000 more because they negotiated. If I've never been trained on how to negotiate, if I've never been trained on dealing with health insurance, stock options, and all these other things that come into play When I'm going for my job, I can miss out on so much, especially as first generation students. So this is college to career, where they're beginning to think, they're beginning to consider, they're beginning to strategize. And then we go to chapter number 7, Tish, the first 90 days of the job. Oh, the first 90 days are so important. This is the point where you make specific decisions. You begin to analyze what's the unwritten rules of success? Who are the key influencers? Who should I talk to? Who should I not talk to? Are there ERG groups? Huge. Are there professional associations of people within my industry? What skills do I need to develop? What volunteer things should I do? All this are things you think about the first 90 days that can make a huge difference. I forgot about one more. This is the game changer. What are my habits? What are my work habits? Am I going the extra mile? Am I showing up first early in the morning? Am I staying after? Here it comes. Do I have the right attitude? Because some people will pay you for attitude and train you in skill. I'm going to say it again. Some people will pay you for the right attitude and will train you in the skill. So what are your attitudes? What is your mindset? How do you work with you? These are things we begin to think about in the first 90 days. And again, just from my experiences, I have interacted with students, I've interacted with professionals. How many times have we really taken the time to really think about this? I mean, think about your institution. Who are the influencers? Who has the potential to be your sponsor? What is a sponsor? Someone that's going to speak about you when you're not there. When an opportunity comes, they're going to talk about you. Who is that person? Who can you trust? Who's going to give you the inside information? These are things we need to consider. Who's going to be at the meeting and say, that person has done a great job. That person has done an amazing job. These are the things we have to be aware of when it comes to professional and career success. And as I'm sharing this with you all, I think about my life as well. I'm at a place right now, but I can go higher. But to go higher, these are things we got to be intentional about. And this is the type of information that I believe is a game changer for first generation students.